There are definitely a lot of runners out there that are trying to break the sub 30-minute 10K. And to do that, you need to hold 450 per mile for 6.2 miles or 3 minutes flat for 10 straight kilometers. And so these athletes that are training for a sub 30-minute 10K, you have to make sure that you're focusing on a high amount of weekly training at or below your anaerobic threshold, really focusing on your overall leg speed, because to sustain 450 mile pace for 6.2 miles or 3 minutes per kilometer for 10 straight kilometers, you have to have a very high pain tolerance. You have to be very physically fit in terms of your anaerobic fitness as well as your aerobic fitness. The types of paces you need to be thinking about for those athletes, if you're out there and you're training and your goal is to break a 30-minute 10K, threshold effort should be around 5:03 mile pace or around 3:08 kilometer pace. When you're doing intervals, you want to make sure you're working back down toward around doing repeat miles between 425 to 440 per rep. This has to get, you have to get to a point where you can do that in order to sustain 6 consecutive miles under 450 mile pace. And so if I was aiming for this particular time, I would place a high percentage of my high focus on high quality mileage coupled with very easy, relaxed recovery days so that you can continue to bounce back and continue to train hard for a 29:59 10K. The types of workouts I would definitely be doing would be repeat 1,600 meter reps. At the beginning of my buildup, I would start off at around 5:03 per mile or per 1,600 meter rep per mile. If you're doing 1,609 meters, you're doing repeat miles, I would start at 5:03 and work my way down to the point where I could get those repeat miles between 425 to 445 per rep. And I would start off with a 3-minute recovery, working my way down to around 45 seconds to 60 seconds of recovery in between each one of those 5 to 6 1,600 meter repetitions on the track. Definitely speed is vital. If you're going to run a sub 30-minute 10K, you can't just be doing high mileage. Okay, high mileage is not going to guarantee you a sub 30-minute 10K. You have to make sure that you're training at paces that are significantly faster than 450 mile pace. So if you're doing, say, repeat 300s, start off at around 52 seconds, work your way down to around 41 to 43 seconds. If you're doing repeat 400s, start off at around 109 per 400 meter rep. If you're doing training for a 10K, I would do between 12 to 16 400 meter reps, starting off at 109, working my way down to a point where I could run those repetitions at around 101 to 104 per rep. 2 minutes of recovery at the beginning, 45 seconds to 60 seconds of recovery between each 400 meter rep as you build into that mid to late season buildup. Okay, if you're training for a 10K, minimum time frame, in my opinion, would be 12 weeks, preferably 16 weeks, even up to 20 weeks. Okay, because again, you want to provide some time to build that strong aerobic base. That you build that foundation first, running easy, relaxed mileage, doing 5 to 6 100-meter strides 2 to 3 times per week during that aerobic phase. Just really focusing on staying consistent with your mileage, doing the strides to work on your leg turnover and work on your form. And then you start building into doing longer tempo runs, training at your anaerobic threshold, which again is 85 to 88%, close up to even to around 90% of your max heart rate. Again, track workouts are key. Okay, I would start off doing like 8 to 10 1 kilometer reps on the track, starting off at threshold effort, which for the athlete that's trying to break 30 minutes for 10K, that would be around 3 minutes and 8 seconds per kilometer repetition. Okay, so around 2 to 3 minutes of recovery. The early buildup in the initial stage of your buildup, when you're just starting off, first few weeks of a buildup, and then working my way. If I was training for a sub 30, work my way down to around 238 to 242 per rep, but only about 45 seconds to 60 seconds rest. So the key is to start off much more conservative in your buildup as you train for your sub 30-minute 10K, providing more time. The paces are going to be slower because, again, you just haven't built that anaerobic fitness yet. So you have to allot sufficient time for the body to adapt. And it takes about 3 weeks to a month to adapt to any stress load you're placing on the body. So starting off more conservative. So again, if you're doing repeat Ks on the track, starting off at around 308, 310 range, and then working your way down to around 238 to 243, around that range, but much less rest. There's no rest in a 10K. And so that's very important. If you're doing 800s on the track for an athlete that's trying to break 30 minutes for 10K, I would start off running those 10 800s, not immediately, not in the first couple weeks. It might be like 4 800s, and then a few weeks later doing 6 to 7 800s, and then working your way to where you do 10. But start off at around 230 per rep, with around 2 minutes of recovery, and then work your way down to where you can do those reps at around 206 to 209 per rep. And again, very minimal rest, 45 seconds to 60 seconds rest in between each one of those repetitions. 29:59 is definitely not going to come easy. That is a highly competitive time, a time very, very few athletes around the world achieve on the track or on the roads each year. So if you're aiming to run a sub 30-minute 10K, focus on quality versus quantity. You can be doing a ton of mileage. You could be running 100 miles a week and be extremely strong aerobically. But if you're not paying attention to your overall speed development, especially to run a sub 30-minute 10K, you're only doing 50% of the work, if that. And you have to also make sure that you're paying attention to mental training as well. See yourself running across the finish line, getting across that finish line in 29:59. Okay, it has to happen in the mind first. And you can't just train your body. You have to train your mind. You have to remind yourself on a daily basis, whether that's writing down your goals on a notepad, or placing your goals written down and place them in your purse, or if you're female, or just going out and just writing 29:59 on Post-it notes, or putting it on your laptop or on your computer. Seeing that, okay, seeing yourself not only writing down your goals, but actually seeing yourself achieving what it is you want to go after, and definitely sustaining this pace. You have to make sure that you're improving your body's lactate tolerance, and the only way to do that is hill repetitions, doing 200 to 300 meter hill repetitions every other weekend, where you're really focusing on running all out, lifting your knees, pumping your arms on the way up the hill, in either walking or jogging down the hill. Walking in the early stages of a build-up is natural, because again, you're going to need a little bit more rest before you start that all-out effort. Maybe at the beginning of a build-up, when you're just starting off doing hill repetitions, you want to moderately run up the hill until you're running all out about the last 20 to 30 meters of the hill, walking on the way down. And then later on, maybe midway through your build-up, then when you're doing your hill repeats, then you want to make sure that you're really, because you're in much better aerobic and anaerobic shape, focus on running those hill repetitions all out, and then jogging a light jog on the way down rather than walking on the way down. So again, as we try to get faster and run super fast times like a sub 30-minute 10K, the goal is always to improve the body's lactate tolerance, the ability to clear lactic acid faster than it's building up, building your volume gradually, not just trying to do too much in a short amount of time. Focus on a longer buildup, preferably minimum of 12 weeks, but preferably 16 to 20 weeks for really training for a 10-kilometer race, especially trying to run a time as fast as this. You have to make sure you're providing sufficient time to achieve this particular goal, and don't try to cram it all in a matter of 8 weeks, 4 to 8 weeks. Sure, you can get in great shape in a month to 2 months, but think of how much better shape you'd be in a matter of 3 to 5 months building up. Okay, it takes time to really get used to doing threshold training, running it. If you're training for a sub 30-minute 10K, that threshold pace is going to be around 5-minute pace, around 5 to 5:05 per mile pace. Okay, so it's slightly slower than your goal race pace, but it's still very intense. So be prepared to get out of your comfort zone quite often. Again, focus on 1 VO2 max workout per week, 1 tempo run, 1 long run, but really focus on those track sessions where you're really drilling down, running at around 520s to 420s to 430s to 440s mile pace. Again, getting that sub 450 mile pace and running, 240s, 250K pace in training, so that you get that 3 flat kilometer pace to feel that much easier for you. So I hope this video makes sense. If you have any other questions about breaking the sub 30 minute 10K, feel free to leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear your input. Let me know in the comment section below, what is your current personal best for 10 kilometers, and what is your goal for the 10 kilometer distance in 2024 or in the future, like a long-term goal, short-term goal. I'd love to hear that as well. I'll definitely reach back out to you, anybody that leaves a comment as well. Definitely check out the resources below these videos, as well as on RunDreamAchieve.com. They're definitely there to help you get to the next level in your training and racing. Talk to you guys and gals all in the next video.